What's up, agents? How y'all doing? Hope everybody's hanging in there, being as safe as you need to be, whatever that means. Today, we are going to revisit purpose-built healers. It's been a long time since I've run a fire team medic build video, and with the new chill out mask that was available over the holiday season, and I actually got one a few weeks back running in the summit, so I don't know if it's specifically in the summit. You could still run into the loot goblin, but be on the lookout for him. He dropped a slayer and a chill out mask. If you get a chill out mask that rolls with repair skill on it natively, you could roll that armor core into skill tier, and that would be one of the best possible ways of running this. We have a version that is not the perfect one, so we had to roll repair skill on it. So we have we have armor core on it. Thus, we are going to run two different specializations and compare them: the survivalist and the technician. We'll get more into that in a moment. But so basically, what I'm going to do is go over what I think the best two versions of this build are, and some alternatives as far as talents go, things like that, just so you can get the most out of your healer. There's two different ways that I feel like you can run a healer. One is to get the maximum amount of healing out of it. The second one is to get as much healing as you think is best, and then try to provide additional team buffs. So without further ado, we'll cover all that. Do me a favor, smash that like button. If you guys are new to the channel, hopefully by the end I will have earned your subscription. Best thing you can do to help my channel is share this video. Alright guys, let's get right on into healer builds. Alright agents, so the first thing we need to do is talk about the specializations. The two different variants you can run as survivalist, that's the better option. If you do not have perfect gear, or if you do want to run an additional armor core, you may choose to use the technician. The biggest differences between the two is that the technician, you can choose to run with 10% skill repair, which is additive. Generally, you get 20% in any given spot. So this is a very small bonus to the healing, but it is a bonus. Also note that if you switch it over to the healing, any skill builds you have, when you go to your loadouts and you switch them back, you'll still have to go back into the base of operations and switch back to overclock CPU to get that skill damage. So that's another reason I tend not to use this. And the main reason why we use survivalist is because, it gives us access to the Mender Mine, so it gives us the most options for healing, as well as the fact you get plus 15% outgoing healing. And the key part, much like skill damage is additive with any other skill damage, but if you're running an explosive build, that plus 15% explosive damage you get on China Light is a multiplicative addition. It's a multiplicative bonus. The plus 15% outgoing healing is a multiplicative. So after all the other buffs are aggregated together, that's multiplied by 1.15. So this can actually be quite a significant bonus to the amount of healing you're putting out. And when we're totally ramped up with Overcharge, Perfect Reformation, an assortment of other buffs that we can have, we can put out healing in excess of 800,000 per charge from our healing hive, the Restore Hive. So there is a lot of healing potential in this build, and it's not too hard to gear for it. If you do run Technician, you get a small amount of healing with the 10% healing you can get through that, but you do get the advantage of having Amped, which means that you can either run a Weapon Core or an Armor Core, still be at skill tier 6. Why you might want to run the Armor Core is if you choose something like Galvanize, so if you put a status effect on an enemy within range, you and all of your allies within that range will get 40% of your armor as bonus armor for a significant amount of time. And so what you would want to do then, of course, is maximize the amount of armor you have to maximize the benefit to the team. The other thing I should note about Technician is that we have access to the Faraday field. So unlike the Survivalist, you can actually protect your team from getting shocked or disrupted by placing the hive near them. So that is an additional bonus you have for yourself and your team if you are stuck running the Technician. Overall, if our job is healing, I would focus more on the survivalist, the healing aspect of it. But there are certain combinations, like with Future Initiative, the ground control, and how when people are at full armor, they get that 15% multiplicative damage bonus. If you are able to give them bonus armor, or they are able to have bonus armor, that means they stay at full armor even if they're taking damage through that bonus armor, so they can maintain that damage bonus even while they're taking damage and give that damage bonus out. So there are a couple different ways of running it that can be beneficial, but I would say if you can run 6 skill tiers, run Survivalist, it's just the most bang for the buck and the easiest way to run with it. Also, you get the healing kits that heal your teammates within, I think it's like 20 meters or something. So that's a last-ditch effort. If your hive is out, you can always go ahead and use an armor kit to heal all your teammates. So next we should talk about the actual skills we can use. So before we talk about anything, what I'm going to say is never, ever, ever think about running the repair traps. You put out 8 traps that sit on the floor. Somebody has to run through them. Even if they're at full armor and they run through them, they can proc them. They are just don't do it. I mean, 8 traps, they say they heal 1.3 million, but it's a liability, and the cooldown sucks as well. So, that being said, the mainstay of this is using the Restorer Hive. This is in part because it works in conjunction with the BTSU gloves. But the hive, what we'll be looking at when it's maxed out, you'll be looking at a base damage of 450 to about 485,000 heal per charge as the base. As I've alluded to, we'll get up well above 800,000 per when we are fully buffed up. In PvP, you could expect to see a base healing of about 285,000. So it will take a bit more in the Dark Zone to get your team topped off, but of course everybody expects that. So next, we'll talk about the Survivalist specialty item, and that's the Mender Seeker Mine. The Mender Seeker Mine is a fire and forget. So you basically put it out, and it allows you to target other people, but the Mender Mine will simply go there, and then if they don't need healing, come back to you. What it will do is as soon as one of your teammates or proxies within its proximity take enough damage, it will shoot out and put that cloud in that area. Now, this can be of deficit because it can only have one cloud out at a time, and it's indiscriminate. It doesn't care whether it's one of your teammates, whether it's you, or whether it's an assault turret. So a lot of the time, you could be busy having the Mender Seeker Mine healing an assault turret. Now, the plus side is that assault turret, of course, is going to be in great shape. The downside is you can't really count on that healing. So it truly is a fire and forget. You kind of let it do its thing. The good thing is it has a super long duration. Very, very, very rarely does it get destroyed. And it actually has a very nice radius and a good amount of healing. A little bit more than the Fixer drone does. And can heal quite a few more people. You know. There, look at that. Look at that fucking, wow, dude, look at that. That is amazing, dude. That was something. Look at, oh my god, that was rad. And so leading on to the Fixer drone. Now the Fixer drone, you do not have to have the Survivalist. You can use this with any of the specializations. One of the main caveats is it's a drone, so it's floating up above, so it can be shot down, and it's fairly weak. What you will do is you'll expect to see about 140,000 plus healing per second. It's easy to send this to different teammates. You can basically send it to a guy, and it will stay on that guy till you either call it back, it gets destroyed, or you tell it to go to somebody else. So the Fixer drone is really easy to use if you have a teammate that, say, wants to push, or somebody's in a bad spot and you need to get them healed. You can send the drone over to them. I forgot to talk about, in PvP, the Mender Seeker Mine will heal about 75,000 per second. The drone will heal about 70,000. One thing to note is the Fixer drone will heal more than just the one person it's on. If somebody else is standing right next to the guy that has the Fixer drone, or the guy's sitting under his turret or something, it will heal the turret or whoever is within range of that blast. So it can heal more than one person, but it's nothing compared to the radius that you get from the Mender Seeker Mine. And now, what I say for last is the one thing that has the most healing potential. It's kind of a pain in the ass to use as a healer. Maybe on mouse and keyboard. I'm on PlayStation 4, so it could be a controller thing. It's really clunky the way taking it out, using it. Sometimes it'll just drop it on the ground. it's really hard to switch between my weapons and the chem launcher when we're in actual gameplay. However, if you are able to use it to better effect than I am, maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys actually can use it just fine. What we are looking at is the ability to heal over 1.5 million with the initial burst. And then over 7 seconds, it's healing over 300,000, about 315,000 per second for 7 additional seconds as well. It has a pretty decent radius on it. And even in the dark zone, you're looking at just over 850,000 as the base healing. And remember, the healing that I'm talking about with all of these, that's base, and we're going to be stacking a whole bunch. You know, we got that 100% from Safeguard if you go with Safeguard. If you go with Reformation, you're getting 30% additional. If you use Perfect Reformation, you get a 40% bonus. You can go something like Kinetic Momentum on your chest if you want to go full bore healing, and you can get up to 60% bonus repair skill right there. So our healing, none of that we just talked about is covered in the base. So you're basically looking at over doubling what the base damage is when we're fully proc. Oh, then you got overcharges. You know, there's just so many ways to just get that healing through the roof. What it really comes down to is a lot of the times you don't actually need as much healing you're capable of. But we'll get into that in just a moment here. Alright, agents, before we get into the gear, let's just talk some quick weapons. Now, as always, my personal opinion, my opinion is play with whatever weapon type you feel the best with. What I do recommend is to get a version of it with Reformation. That's because you can provide that team bonus, the additional 30% healing to everybody. And that extra healing applies to yourself, so if you take damage, it'll heal you that much quicker, which will let you use Safeguard if we're going for max healing. That much quicker, buff the team healing up, and keep everybody tip-top the entire time. So, that being said, I do have some weapons I recommend. I do recommend running with the Scorpio. It's got the crowd control in case you're getting rushed to shut some dudes down, stop them in their tracks. Also, if you do elect to go with Galvanized instead of Safeguard, you can use your Scorpio to actually proc that Galvanized for yourself and your team without having to use something like the Shock Traps or the Blinder Firefly or something like that. So it can allow you to be a true double bore healer and still proc Galvanize. With all the testing I did, I just don't feel like Galvanize is actually one of the better perks with the healer. I think that's better left to a support build or a specific status effect build. I think Safeguard is the best, but we'll cover all that in just a moment. Now, after the Scorpio, for my secondary weapon, I don't usually use this, but the best weapon you could use is the Designated Hitter. This is a marksman rifle. It's kind of clunky, but it is the one way you can get perfect reformation. This will give you a bonus 40% to your repair skill if you get a headshot. This is actually a great bonus, but I'm on controller. It's a pain in the ass for me to try to get those headshots. You guys can see in the gameplay, as you guys can see in the gameplay, I do get some lucky shots with my Designated Hitter a couple times. But what I'd recommend is using an automatic weapon. My preference is the P416. Throw some Reformation on there. What we're using is actually a FAMAS. I figured actually with the super high fire rate, all I need is one bullet to hit. So it kind of makes it easy and legendary to spray and pray. Hope that I get that headshot. And actually it works quite well. But use your favorite weapon there. And then the one other thing we'll talk about is your sidearm. As always, I run with a backup boomstick. This gives me that 17% shotgun damage. We got the damage to armor. And we got Future Perfect on it. And this means if I see a weakened enemy, say a dude rushes on me, I pop him with a Scorpio, we get that electrocute on him, he's about to die, I can whip out the boomstick, finish him off, and this procs a second free overcharge. Now this is just for me, but an overcharge is an overcharge, and that kicks my healing up for the rest of the team, so definitely beneficial. I don't use it very often, it's very situational, but nice to know it's there, and it looks great in the build. One last thing to note, you could run with InSync if you want to. You'd probably have a whole lot of picking up your hive, putting your hive down to keep that bonus active. But if you wanted to do something like that, that would be an option. All right, now it's time to talk about gear and brand sets. What are we going to be running? What combinations are we going to rock to try to make this happen? Now, you would think that the Future Initiative is the best way to go, and there are some merits to actually using the Future Initiative 4-piece. Not only do you get the damage bonus, but that healing to anybody right next to you can be beneficial. The reality is, in Legendary content, in any of the content where you're using this build, very rarely is your team going to be all hunkered together to get advantage of the Future Initiative 4-piece. So, plus you see a lot of times the DPS guys and other build guys will use it, and it's good for the whole team. So I don't recommend running it with the healer build. We will, in one circumstance, take advantage of the 2-piece. So we can use 2 pieces of Future Initiative, and what we do is we roll repair skill on both pieces. That gives us 40% repair skill right there. Plus the 2-piece bonus gives us that plus 30% repair skill. So 2 pieces of the Future Initiative gear set will net us 70% repair skill. We, of course, are going to run 1 piece of Alp Summit. This is because it gives us that native plus 20% repair skill. Plus, it is natively skill tier. Notice that we will attempt to run all repair skill and skill haste. The main thing is we want repair skill on every single piece. So Alp Summit for the 20% repair skill from the brand set. We're going to go with 2 pieces of Murakami. The first one will give us the plus 20% duration. So this will make all of our healing effects last that much longer. The second piece of Murakami will give us an additional 20% repair skill. So right there with the 3 pieces, the Alps, the 2 pieces of Murakami, we've net 40% repair skill from the brand sets. We've netted 60% repair skill from the actual attributes, and we've gotten 20% additional duration, which adds additional healing because of the longevity of said healing. So now if we take into effect the Future Initiative 2-piece, that gives us 1 slot left. This is where we would put our exotics. So before getting into other options, let's talk about the BTSU gloves. Originally, I named these the Blow Thyself Up gloves. They've come a long way. Oh, those were good days. Anyway, the BTSU gloves are all stacked around the hive. The idea is it cuts your hive cooldown basically in half. If you have 6 skill tier, it's 90% additional haste you get to it. So it registers in at 1 second, but we get charge back faster than a second. It's extremely quick. And when you overcharge it, we can get back up to 33 charges with every overcharge. So anytime we get low, overcharge, and we're basically going to have our hive back within 15 seconds. The other thing to note about the BTSU gloves is the transference overclock. Since we are at skill tier 6, every time we overcharge, it will overcharge the entire team. That means everybody's skills, no matter what their actual skill tier is, will be considered overcharged for that 15 seconds. The problem is there is a cooldown, and that will affect the entire team. So if you have 2 people running BTSU gloves, this can actually become quite a complicated, difficult situation to deal with. But, you know, deal with that as you will. With the introduction of the new Chill Out mask, this allows you to roll repair skill on it, and it gives 2 mod slots. So this means that you can run with 2 repair skill mods and have repair skill on the attribute. So you can get 60% repair skill just from this one mask, which means that any other brand set that you run, if you run repair skill on it, that's 20%. So now you're getting 80% repair skill from the 2 slots instead of the 70% you would get from the 2-piece Future Initiative. So this is the one way, if you have the Chill Out mask, and ideally, if you get a Chill Out mask that rolls natively with repair skill already on it, then you can optimize it, but before that, recal the armor core into skill tier. That way you could run with the Survivalist, have 6 skill tier, and have the maximum healing. Unfortunately, I don't have the mask yet. I have the Chill Out, but I had to roll repair skill on it. But still, even now we're putting 10% more out than we would the alternate way. The downside is we have to run Technician, because without that I would only be at skill tier 5. So as soon as I get my Chill Out mask that has repair skill on it, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to switch over to Survivalist. We'll do a new video then. But for right now, this is as good as it gets. Alright, so if you are lucky enough to have the chill out mask, you're able to choose that. Then you have the question of what is that last brand set that you can run. You got quite a few different options. If you are happy running with the Technician, then you can basically get anything and load it in that slot. You know, you can get some Badger Tough if you want some bonus shotgun damage for your Scorpio. You can get some Fenders if you want some assault rifle damage. Some things that note that work actually well with the context of the healer. You can go with hana-u. That will give you additional skill haste, so you get your skills back that much quicker. You could go with something like the Empress International, that will give you plus 10% skill health. That'll just make sure that your drone or your Mender Mine don't get shot down as quick. They just have a little more sustain. Really, it's up to you what you might want to do with that other slot. That is one of the cool things about it, is if you end up with the chill out mask, especially if you have the perfect one, that last brand set slot, you could play around with that as much as you want to, and you know, let me know in the comments what you guys think would be the actual best 6th piece to use for this setup with the perfect chill out mask. That would be awesome. Let me know in the comments. So now we're getting into the last stages of this build, and that's what talents do we run on the chest and the backpack. So the chest, real quick, I'll go over some runners up. You have something like explosive delivery. That's cool. You could kind of use your hive, maybe your Mender Seeker Mine when you throw it out as a weapon, right? So you get that free grenade explosion there. That'd be cool. One option you have is to go with Overwatch. This will give bonus damage of 12% as long as you stay in cover. Since we're running into healer, we're basically going to be staying in cover most of the time anyway. So this is an easy 12% bonus damage you can give to the entire team. It just means you got to stay in cover for 10 seconds. Now, the 2 talents that I would recommend running, and this depends on if you want to maximize your heal, you just want to go for the most Healer-est build, and that would be to run Kinetic Momentum. And this is because when you're running the Mender or the Fixer Drone in combination with the Hive, and you have both of them out there, and your Kinetic Momentum stacks are up, that's 60% additional repair skill you get. So that's a huge chunk of extra repair skill without doing anything but having your skills out. What I choose to run, what I think is better, I think we have more than enough heal. And so what I'm trying to do, right, and this is because of all the, proc and reformation and just all the other buffs we're stacking up. It's just enough. So I go with Empathic Resolve. This gives everybody a 13% damage bonus while I'm at skill tier 6, and every time we overcharge it bumps up to 15%. Unfortunately, it only gives me a 6 or 7% damage bonus, but most of the time I'm trying to stay at full health, and that's because of the talents we're going to talk about on the backpack. So the runner-up would be Opportunistic. If you wanted to, you could be running the Scorpio, which already can debuff enemies. Opportunistic, if you hit an enemy with a shotgun or marksman rifle, they will take additional damage from any source for a bit of time, and so you could use that. The one time that I would switch over to Opportunistic, and you will occasionally see me do this in some of the older videos, is like Union District Arena on Legendary. When you get to Aggro, I mean, he takes so much damage, so I would switch over because we really don't need that much healing there. Letting the team do a multiplicative 1.1 damage is huge. You could theoretically run Energize for a 3rd possible overcharge. This means that when you do use the armor kit, that it will put you into overcharge, provided you're at skill tier 6, which is the whole point anyway. So I just don't think it doesn't outweigh the benefits of some of the other options we have. So the talent that, and I talked about this before, you could run Galvanize. With the Scorpio, every time you proc that, I think it's the Electrocute, the Shock. And I don't know if there's any other things on the Scorpio that do it, but I know the Shock does. But that will proc Galvanize for yourself and any teammates that are within range. It's really too situational for me. So as everybody, I'm sure, saw this coming, we're going to go with Safeguard, and that's simply because that 100% bonus healing for us being tip top is it's much too big. And so depending on the build, if I'm running the Fixer Drone, a lot of times I'll just keep the Fixer Drone on me unless somebody else needs it. That makes sure that I'm tipped off, and that way I can throw the Restorer Hive any place on the field where the guys are. not have to worry about it. They're getting that bonus, safeguard, healing all the time, and it's just real easy. Just to summarize up, what we're looking for, right, is the biggest advantage of this build is the amount of survivability that anybody in the team can have. Now, of course, you can always get burst down, especially in Legendary. This is not going to make anybody invincible. You still have to play the game smart, but it lets you play significantly more aggressive than you normally would. And in the iterations that I play with the Empathic Resolve, or if you decide to go with Overwatch, you can buff that team damage pretty good too. Having the ability to overcharge the team to reset their skills, give them bonus damage, bonus healing, it's huge. Having Future Perfect or possibly Energize as secondary overcharges for yourself can be great to add some bonus healing. They're not necessary at all. Of course, the team's going to be stoked on the bonus damage. Really, what we're doing now is we're just requesting to break 500,000 as the base. If I can find a way, I'm hoping that if I get the perfect chill out mass to break 500,000 base damage on the Hive, and then I want to test that. But this is a build that can really make a lot of the harder content a lot easier, provided the team actually is aware that there's a healer and they play within the restrictions of a healer. Some people will get this idea that, oh my god, we have a dedicated healer in the group, I can just run over and go John Rambo. It's like, nah, man, you have to stay in the heals. You gotta, make sure you're not getting flanked. A lot of times these guys with the shield who are like, oh my gosh, this Hive is amazing, it's going to keep me and my shield alive. And then they walk out of the radius of the Hive. And then they get down, can't get to them, and they wonder why. So it's a great build, but like anything in the game, you have to know how to play it, and you have to know how to play with it if somebody else is running it. Now, my opinion on the best possible way to run this is Survivalist with 1 piece of Alps, 2 pieces of Murakami, the Chill Out Mask, the BTSU gloves, hana-u, repair skill on everything, every mod slot repair skill, Empathic Resolve on the chest to give bonus damage to the team every time they're healed, Safeguard to maximize those heals, Scorpio for crowd control. Most of the time I would run an auto rifle, an assault rifle with standard reformation on it, and I don't even bother with the backup boomstick trying to get that overcharge. It's not even worth it. I just hunker down, make sure the Hive's in the right spot. I make sure every time I'm going to overcharge, I blow up my other skill first because it's going to get reset immediately. So even if I just put out a drone, I'll generally blow it up immediately just to have a brand new overcharged drone as soon as I overcharge with the BTSU gloves. I'll try to stay behind the team as much as possible and hunker down. Unfortunately, a lot of times the guys get a little gun shy, and I end up having to go out front to go get revives and shit like that. But the reality is, if the rest of the team's playing the right way, I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to hang in the back, stay under cover, proc reformation every 20 seconds or so, and just let everybody else do the job and be happy that I'm sitting there, not taking damage, getting periodic headshots, keeping everybody A-okay, and making legendary content a motherfucking breeze. Alright, agents, hopefully I taught you guys a little bit about how to run a healer build if you want to run a healer, or what to expect. If you don't run healers and you run DPS, maybe this gave you a little bit of insight on what the healers are thinking about. And if you've wondered why you have a healer in your group and you're still dying, maybe it's that you need to pay a little more attention to where those heals are. Not every healer works the same. See what the guy is doing, and maybe you can maximize the effects that he gives you so you can maximize your damage. Do me a favor, agents. Smash that like button. Again, if I haven't earned your subscription by now, hopefully today is the day. Best thing you can do to help my channel, share this video. You guys take it easy. Be as safe as you need to be out there, and I will catch you, agents, in the dark zone.
You guys can just destroy it for resources because I'm full on all that stuff.
Assistance. Immediate medical assistance needed. Agent down. An agent needs assistance. Vital signs critical. Agent down. Serious trauma detected.
Bye.